Stop scrolling. What you're about to hear, they never wanted you to discover. This message didn't find you by accident. No algorithm placed this in your path. No coincidence brought you here. You were summoned, called by forces beyond the veil, because what's happening to your body right now, what's stirring in your very cells, it's terrifying the kingdom of darkness. They told you aging was inevitable. They whispered that your best days were behind you. They convinced you that the aches, the weariness, the slow fade, that this was just natural. But what if everything they told you about time was a lie? What if your body has been under spiritual attack, not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous? Chosen one, there's something happening in the unseen realm. Something so powerful that hell itself has been working overtime to keep you from this truth. They've been aging you prematurely, draining your strength, clouding your mind. Not through medicine or genetics, through warfare. But here's what they didn't count on. God has been watching, and what He's about to reverse in your body will shock your doctors, silence your critics, and make even your enemies step back in wonder. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange stirring, that unexplained energy returning when it should be fading, the way your spirit burns brighter while others around you grow dim. That's not your imagination. That's resurrection power flowing backward through your timeline. Before we go deeper, thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. Heaven sees every sacrifice, every act of partnership in this mission. What I'm about to reveal will explain why you've survived what should have broken you, why your enemies expected you to crumble, but you didn't, why time itself seems to bend around your destiny. The reversal has already begun. The evidence is in your breath, your bones, your beating heart. And what happened next made the darkness tremble. Listen carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you will shatter everything you believed about the last decade of your life. You thought you were getting old. You felt the heaviness in your bones, the fog rolling through your mind like morning mist that never quite lifted. You watched your energy drain away, drop by precious drop, and you whispered to yourself in the mirror, "This is just what happens. This is just time." But you were wrong. You weren't aging. You were being preserved. Heaven pressed pause on your timeline while hell threw its tantrum. God slowed your biological clock, not to punish you, but to protect what was growing inside you. What looked like decline was actually divine incubation. What felt like fading was actually folding, being wrapped in glory until the hour struck. Think about it. How many times should you have broken? How many storms should have shattered you beyond repair? How many betrayals should have left you bitter and twisted? How many losses should have buried you alive? But here you are, still breathing, still believing, still burning with something they can't understand and can't extinguish. That's not luck, chosen one. That's divine preservation. God has been hiding you in plain sight. While others rushed toward their destinies like moths to flame, you were placed in a holy holding pattern. Not because you weren't ready, but because the world wasn't ready for you. Not because you lacked purpose, but because your purpose required perfect timing. You see, there's a difference between being forgotten and being reserved. There's a chasm between being overlooked and being protected. You thought heaven was silent, but heaven was strategic. Every closed door wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every delay wasn't denial, it was divine timing calibrating itself to your assignment. What you thought was aging was actually anointing in hibernation. The fatigue you felt? That was your spirit conserving energy for what's coming. The confusion that clouded your thoughts? That was God shielding your mind from distractions that would have derailed your destiny. The isolation that made you feel invisible, that was heaven creating a cocoon around your transformation. You weren't getting weaker. You were getting wiser. You weren't slowing down. You were being wound up like a divine clock, prepared to strike the hour when all of creation would hear your chime. Look at your hands, chosen one. Really look at them. See the lines, the spots, the evidence of years lived and battles fought. The world calls those signs of aging, but heaven calls them glory marks. Each line is a testimony. Each mark is a medal. Each wrinkle is a warrior's stripe earned in combat you never asked for, but never ran from. You weren't fading. You were being folded like precious fabric, protected from the elements until the moment it would be unfurled in all its splendor. Folded like a letter containing news, too important to be read at the wrong time. Folded like wings that needed to gather strength before they could carry you to heights you never imagined. The enemy whispered that you were over the hill, but God was preparing you to move mountains. The world declared you past your prime, but heaven was priming you for your real purpose. They measured you by calendars and clocks, but God measures you by calling and character. And now, oh now the folding is finished. The preservation period is ending. What was hidden is about to be revealed. What was protected is about to be unleashed. What was aging is about to start reversing. You feel it, don't you? That stirring in your spirit, that quickening in your pulse, that strange energy returning to your step. That's not wishful thinking, chosen one. That's divine restoration beginning to flow through your very DNA. The decline stops here. The reversal starts now. You weren't dying slowly. You were living strategically. You weren't breaking down. You were being built up in ways the natural eye could never see. Your body was a construction site, not a cemetery. Your spirit was a furnace, not a flame flickering out. And what emerges from this season of preservation will shock your doctors, silence your critics, and make even your enemies step back in holy wonder. Because when God preserves something, He doesn't just keep it from decay, He prepares it for glory. The world expected you to fade gracefully into the background, but grace doesn't make you fade. Grace makes you blaze, and the blazing is about to begin. You weren't aging, chosen one. You were marinating in mercy, soaking in strength, steeping in supernatural power. The preservation is complete. Now comes the revelation. They thought if they could break your body, they could bury your calling. Chosen one, listen carefully. Every ache that made no sense, every diagnosis that came out of nowhere, every morning you woke up feeling like you'd been in a fight you never signed up for. That wasn't your body failing you. That was warfare. Strategic, calculated, spiritual warfare, aimed at one target, your assignment. You see, the enemy doesn't waste ammunition on the ordinary. He doesn't attack those who pose no threat. But you've been under siege for years, and you couldn't understand why. You'd look in the mirror and wonder, why does my body feel like a battlefield? You'd sit in doctors' offices, getting tests that showed nothing, treatments that helped nothing, while something invisible kept pressing against your strength. The devil didn't want your health, he wanted your harvest. He knew something you're just now beginning to understand. Your body isn't just flesh and bone, it's a holy vessel, carrying an assignment that hell fears. Every step you take on this earth is anointed. Every word you speak carries kingdom weight. Every breath you draw is a threat to darkness. So he attacked your frame because your feet were anointed for holy ground. Think about it. When did the fatigue really start? Was it when you began to pray differently? When you started to see through the lies? When you refused to stay silent about what God was showing you? The warfare intensified because your awareness intensified. The more you awakened to who you really are, the harder darkness pressed against your physical form. But here's what the enemy miscalculated. He thought pain would make you retreat. He thought sickness would make you surrender. He thought if he could just tire you out enough, drain you enough, age you enough, you'd walk away from your calling. You didn't retreat. You dug deeper. Every attack on your energy became fuel for your prayers. Every symptom that couldn't be explained became evidence that you were walking in something supernatural. While others accepted their decline, you kept asking God for clarity. While others medicated their pain away, you wrestled with heaven for understanding. And slowly, quietly, God began to reveal the truth. This wasn't about your diet. This wasn't about your genes. This wasn't about normal aging. This was about a spiritual assignment so powerful that hell had to bring everything it had against your physical frame to try and stop it. You started to notice the pattern, didn't you? How the worst attacks came right before breakthrough moments. How your body would rebel right before God was about to use you. How the fatigue would spike when you were on the verge of stepping into something new. That wasn't coincidence. That was confirmation. The enemy was revealing his own strategy. He was showing you, through his desperation, just how dangerous you really are. Every scar you carry is evidence of a battle you survived. Every medication you had to take was proof that something was fighting for your failure. Every night you couldn't sleep was a sign that darkness was working overtime to keep you from the rest that would restore your strength. But you endured. You held on. You kept believing when belief felt impossible. You kept moving when movement felt like agony. You kept trusting when trust felt foolish. And now God is about to show you why. The strength that was drained from you wasn't lost. It was stored. Every ounce of energy the enemy tried to steal, God was secretly multiplying in the spirit. Every year he tried to add to your frame, heaven was subtracting from your timeline. Every attack on your vitality became an investment in your victory. You thought you were getting weaker. You were getting wiser. You thought you were slowing down. You were speeding up spiritually. You thought time was working against you. Time was working for you, under heaven's direction. The battle was never about making you well. The battle was about keeping you from realizing how powerful you really are when you're fully aligned with your assignment. The enemy knew that once you understood the warfare, once you saw through his strategy, once you recognized that your physical struggles were spiritual confirmation, you'd become unstoppable. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Your body is about to catch up with your spirit. Your frame is about to align with your faith. Your physical strength is about to match your spiritual authority. Because God is reversing every year the enemy tried to steal, every symptom he tried to plant, every limitation he tried to establish. You survived the siege. Now you rise in victory. The aches that made no sense are starting to make perfect sense. They were never about your body. They were about your breakthrough. And the breakthrough isn't coming. The breakthrough is here. The devil didn't want your health. He wanted your harvest. But what he didn't know is that God uses everything, even warfare, to water the very ground where miracles grow. Your assignment isn't delayed. It's activated. Your calling isn't diminished. It's refined. Your purpose isn't aging. It's awakening. And the enemy? He's about to discover that attacking a chosen one's body only reveals how anointed their assignment really is. The siege is over, chosen one. The restoration has begun. They thought your body was their battlefield. They were wrong. It was God's laboratory. Chosen one, what I'm about to tell you will reframe every ache you felt, every stiffness you've endured, every moment you looked in the mirror and wondered if this vessel was failing you. The truth is so much deeper than what your eyes have seen or your doctors have diagnosed. Your body is not just flesh and bone. It is prophecy wrapped in skin. Listen carefully. When heaven anoints a person, it doesn't stop at the spirit. The oil flows down, down, down into your nervous system, into your bloodstream, into the very marrow where life is made. What you thought was aging, what you accepted as inevitable decline, was actually divine rewiring happening in real time. Every joint that stiffened wasn't breaking down, it was breaking through old limitations, old patterns, old agreements with weakness that your bloodline had signed generations ago. Your joints are not deteriorating, they are remembering prophecy. They are recalling their original design, their sacred function as instruments of praise, vessels of movement, hinges of heaven's purpose. You felt it, didn't you? Those nights when the aching seemed to intensify, when your knees spoke in a language of discomfort, when your shoulders carried weight that wasn't visible. You thought it was your body failing you, but it was your body preparing for you. Every cell was receiving new instructions from the throne room. This isn't anti-aging. This is divine architecture, restoring its blueprint. See, the enemy has always understood something the church forgot. Your physical frame is sacred territory. When God breathed into Adam, he didn't just animate flesh, he consecrated it. He made every tendon a harp string, every bone a pillar in his temple, every nerve ending a receptor for his glory. Your body was always meant to be more than survival equipment. It was designed as a prophetic container. That's why the warfare against your health has been so relentless. Hell knew that if you ever realized what you actually carry, not just spiritually, but physically, you would become unstoppable. They attacked your energy because your energy is anointed. They targeted your mobility because your steps shift atmospheres. They came for your stamina because your endurance threatens their timelines. But here's what they miscalculated. Every attack on your temple only activated more oil. Right now, as you hear these words, there is a holy restructuring happening in your tissues. The inflammation that plagued you, it's being replaced by divine flow. The stiffness that limited you's melting under the warmth of heaven's breath. The fatigue that dragged you down, it's being overcome by supernatural strength that doesn't depend on your age, your diet, or your circumstances. Your immune system is receiving new programming. Your nervous system is being recalibrated. Your circulatory system is flowing with rivers of living water. This isn't medical, this is mystical. This isn't clinical, this is covenant. You've noticed it already, haven't you? The way certain pains just disappeared. No explanation from the doctors. No change in your routine. Just grace flowing where grief once lived. The way your sleep became deeper, your breathing easier, your movement more fluid. That wasn't coincidence. That was confirmation. Heaven is touching the exact places where the enemy said you were finished. Your bones are not just calcium and phosphate. They are storage containers for divine memory. Every fracture they healed carried a lesson. Every stress they endured built resilience. Every year they supported you. They were banking strength for this moment, the moment when God would activate their full prophetic potential. This is why you survived what should have broken you. This is why you're still standing when others with less wear and tear have fallen. Your frame was never just yours. It was always God's dwelling place. And He has been quietly, lovingly, powerfully rebuilding His temple from the inside out. The oil in your bones is ancient. It's the same oil that flowed through David's harp-playing hands. The same oil that strengthened Moses' arms when they grew heavy. The same oil that kept Paul writing letters from prison cells. It doesn't diminish with agate, multiplies with assignment. You are not getting older. You are getting activated. Your DNA is responding to divine instruction. Your cells are remembering their original purpose. Your organs are functioning not just for survival, but for revival. Every system in your body is being fine-tuned for the mission ahead because the mission is bigger than you realized, and it requires a vessel that won't wear out, won't break down, won't surrender to the timeline hell tried to impose. Feel it now. Place your hand on your chest. That heartbeat isn't just keeping you alive, it's drumming to heaven's rhythm. Those lungs aren't just processing oxygen, they're preparing to breathe life into dead situations. Those hands aren't just tools, they're weapons of mass blessing. Your body is not your limitation, it is your launching pad. The aches you felt were labor pains. Your temple was giving birth to its next dimension. The stiffness was chrysalis. Your frame was metamorphosing into something stronger, something sacred, something that could house the glory God intended to pour through you in these final chapters. This isn't about vanity. This isn't about looking younger for the mirror. This is about carrying longer for the mission. God isn't restoring your youth. He's revealing your eternity. The eternal you that was always hidden beneath the temporal shell, waiting for heaven's signal to emerge. Your biology is not bound by the limitations others accept. Your cells dance to a different drummer. Your tissues respond to a higher authority. You are fearfully and wonderfully mad, not past tense, but present continuous. The wonder is still happening. The fearful reverence is still flowing. And when the world asks how you move like that, sleep like that, glow like that at your age, you'll simply smile. Because they wouldn't understand if you told them the truth. You're not aging according to Earth's calendar. You're maturing according to heaven's design. The oil in your bones is rising. The prophecy in your frame is awakening. And the temple God built to last forever is just getting started. They convinced you that you were running late, that life had passed you by while you sat in the waiting room of silence, that others were crossing finish lines while you were still searching for the starting blocks. But chosen one, what if I told you that every single day they called delay was actually divine custody? What if the clock wasn't your enemy but your guardian? You didn't lose time. Time was held for you. While others sprinted toward temporary victories, heaven placed you in a sacred holding pattern. Not because you weren't ready for blessing, but because blessing wasn't ready for the version of you that could handle it without breaking. You see, chosen one, there are two kinds of time operating in this universe. There's Chronos, the ticking, demanding, anxiety-inducing time that drives the world into frenzy. And then there's Kairos, the eternal, purposeful, God-breathed time that moves mountains when it speaks. You've been living under Chronos your whole life, watching calendars mock you, watching birthdays remind you of what you hadn't achieved yet. But heaven operates on Kairos, and Kairos just whispered your name. Every door that slammed shut when you knocked, every opportunity that vanished just as you reached for it, every promotion that went to someone less qualified, every relationship that crumbled right before it could bloom. You called it rejection. Heaven called it redirection. You called it too late. Heaven called it right on time. They told you that timing was everything, and they were right, but they never told you whose timing matters. While you were drowning in the panic of human schedules, divine timing was weaving a masterpiece behind the scenes. Every thread of delay was strategic. Every pause was purposeful. Every season of silence was actually heaven's way of saying, "Not yet. What I have for you is too precious to rush." You weren't late. You were locked away in eternity until now. Think about it, chosen one. Every heartbreak that delayed your happiness was actually protecting you from settling for less than God's best. Every career setback that made you feel behind was actually steering you away from paths that would have buried your calling under paychecks. Every relationship that ended when you thought it was finally time was actually heaven saying, "I have someone who will honor what you carry, not use it." You weren't being punished by time. You were being preserved in it. While others were aging under pressure, you were being aged like wine, concentrated, refined, developing depths of character that instant success could never produce. While they were burning out from rushing, you were being slow-cooked in patience until your very presence could heal wounds that used to drain you. While they were celebrating temporary victories that would fade, you were being prepared for eternal impact that would outlast their applause. And now, the vault of time is opening. Now Kairos is stepping forward to claim what Chronos tried to steal. Now, divine timing is about to embarrass human timing so completely that even your enemies will have to admit, God was in this all along. Time doesn't govern glory, glory commands time. Every wrinkle that appeared too early from worry being erased. Every gray hair that came from carrying burdens others couldn't see being reversed. Every slow step that made you feel older than your years being quickened with supernatural energy. Why? Because time itself is bowing to the assignment on your life. The same time that once seemed to work against you is now working overtime to restore what worry stole, what waiting weathered, what warfare wounded. You're about to watch calendars become irrelevant. You're about to see your body respond not to birth certificates but to heaven's blueprints. You're about to feel decades of, "I missed it," melt away like ice in the presence of glory. Because when God reverses time, He doesn't just give you back what you lost. He gives you back what you never had the chance to become. The energy of your 20s, but with the wisdom of your waiting. The dreams of your youth, but with the discernment of your darkness. The hope of your beginnings, but with the authority of your endurance. This isn't going backward, chosen one. This is going beyond what time said was possible. Beyond what age claimed was over. Beyond what delay declared was done. Every morning you wake up from now on, time will feel different. Not because you're trying to race against it, but because it's racing to keep up with you. Not because you're fighting the clock, but because the clock is fighting for you. The minutes that once crawled with pain will now fly with purpose. The hours that once dragged with emptiness will now dance with destiny. You weren't behind schedule. You were ahead of the storm. While others were building on sand during calm weather, you were being anchored in bedrock during the hurricane. While they were planting in easy seasons, you were developing roots deep enough to survive any weather. And now it's harvest time, and your harvest doesn't know what season it is. Time was never your master. Time was your guardian, holding space for this moment when everything it protected would finally be unveiled. The delay wasn't denial. The delay was a deposit. And now it's time to make the withdrawal. You didn't lose time, chosen one. Time was held for you. And now, it's being released with compound interest. They told you to look in the mirror and see decline. Heaven said, look deeper and see design. Chosen one, you stood before that glass and believed what your eyes reported. Lines where smoothness once lived. Silver threading through what was once golden. A slowness in your movements that wasn't there before. And in that moment, the enemy whispered his favorite lie. You're fading. But mirrors don't show mantles. Reflections can't reveal the realm of the spirit. What you saw as aging, heaven recorded as arriving. What looked like decline was actually divine alignment. The changes in your face weren't markers of deterioration, they were evidence of transformation. You didn't look tired, you looked crowned. Every line etched across your features tells a story of survival. Every gray hair is a banner of victory. Every wrinkle, those are war wounds from battles you fought in the unseen. You've been walking through spiritual combat zones while others strolled through comfort zones. The wear on your frame isn't from time, it's from truth. From carrying weight others couldn't lift. From standing when others sat down. From believing when others gave up. The mirror lied because it only shows flesh. But you, chosen one, are more than flesh. You are fire wrapped in skin. You are lightning housed in bone. You are thunder disguised as human. And thunder doesn't fade with age, it deepens. Listen carefully. What the world called aging was your spirit outgrowing the shell. Your soul has been expanding, stretching the very container meant to hold it. The weariness you felt wasn't your body breaking down, it was your spirit breaking through, pushing past the limitations of the natural, demanding more room for the glory trying to manifest through your frame. You've been housing something too big for small thinking, too powerful for pretty packaging. The sag wasn't surrender. It was spiritual substance. You've been carrying weight that others couldn't see, intercession that had no audience, prayers that echoed in empty rooms, worship that rose from wounded places. And all of that, every tear, every groan, every whispered, "Lord, help me," it settles into your being like precious oil. It changes how you carry yourself, not with weakness, but with weightiness, not with burden, but with authority. The enemy wanted you to see deterioration. Heaven sees manifestation. While you worried about wrinkles, angels marveled at your resilience. While you counted gray hairs, heaven counted battles won. While you measured the changes in your reflection, the throne room measured the changes in your character. And what they found wasn't loss, it was gain. Spiritual gain that can't be captured in photographs or calculated by years. You've been maturing like fine wine, like aged whiskey, like gold refined in fire. The process isn't pretty. The vessel shows the heat. But what emerges isn't diminished, it's concentrated, distilled, purified into something rare, something valuable, something that only comes through time and trial and testing. This is why your presence carries different weight now, why your words land with impact, why your silence speaks volumes. You're not becoming less, you're becoming more discerning, more grounded, more aware of what matters and what doesn't. The mirror showed you aging, but heaven sees you saging, becoming a sage, a vessel of wisdom, a carrier of depth. The wrinkles were war wounds. The lines were lifelines, evidence that you've been swimming in deep waters while others played in shallow pools. You survived what should have broken you. You endured what should have ended you. You carried what should have crushed you. And the proof isn't just in your testimony, it's written on your face. Every mark tells of mercy. Every change speaks of chance after chance that heaven gave you to keep going, keep growing, keep glowing. But here's the secret the mirror couldn't reveal. The mantle has been maturing along with you. What you carry spiritually has been growing stronger as your flesh grew softer. Your authority has been increasing as your anxiety decreased. Your power has been multiplying as your pride was being crushed. The very things that made you feel weakened were the exact things that made you weaponized. Heaven doesn't crown the young and untested. Heaven crowns the weathered and proven. The throne room doesn't celebrate smooth skin, it celebrates scarred saints. Those who've been through the fire and came out glowing. Those who've walked through valleys and learned to climb mountains. Those who faced darkness and chose to become light. Your reflection is catching up to your calling now. The mirror is about to tell a different story. Not because you're becoming younger, but because you're becoming who you were always meant to be. The vessel is aligning with the vision. The frame is matching the fire within. The world taught you to fear aging. Heaven taught you to embrace saging, to see yourself not as deteriorating, but as demonstrating. Demonstrating what happens when someone refuses to quit. When someone chooses endurance over exit. When someone decides that the latter years will be greater than the former. You are living proof that glory doesn't fade with time, it intensifies. That anointing doesn't diminish with age, it deepens. That mantles don't weaken with wear, they strengthen with surrender. So the next time you look in that mirror, see what heaven sees. A warrior who weathered the storm. A flame that refused to be extinguished. A vessel that's been emptied and filled, broken and mended, tested and proven. You didn't look tired, you looked crowned. And crowns, chosen one, only get heavier with honor. The mirror lied, but your mantle never did. And now, finally, they're beginning to agree. They thought the heat would melt you down. They thought the pressure would crush your spirit. They thought if they turned up the temperature high enough, long enough, you'd finally crack under the weight of it all. They were wrong. You didn't break in the fire, chosen one. You didn't even bend. You became something they never saw coming. You became the fire itself. Look back at what you've walked through. the betrayals that should have made you bitter, the losses that should have made you give up, the delays that should have made you doubt, the rejection that should have made you retreat, the silence that should have made you scream. But here you are, still standing, still believing, still burning with something they can't extinguish. You know why? Because what they called your breaking point, God called your making point. What they designed to destroy you, heaven designed to deploy you. Every flame they threw at you wasn't meant to burn you up. It was meant to burn away everything that wasn't truly you. The fire didn't age you, chosen one. It awakened you. Think about gold. Raw gold, pulled from the earth, looks nothing like the treasure it's destined to become. It's rough, mixed with dirt, contaminated with elements that don't belong. But when that gold meets fire, real fire, sustained fire, relentless fire, something miraculous happens. The heat doesn't destroy the gold, it reveals it. Every impurity burns away, every contamination dissolves. What emerges isn't damaged goods, it's purified power. That's your story. Every heartbreak burned away your need for approval from the wrong people. Every betrayal burned away your trust in flesh and blood instead of the Almighty. Every delay burned away your impatience and taught you divine timing. Every attack burned away your fear and taught you how to stand in authority. You didn't survive the fire, you became it. And now when you walk into a room, atmospheres change. When you speak, people listen, not because you're loud, but because you carry weight. When you pray, things move, not because you're perfect, but because you've been purified. When you stand, others feel safe, not because you're untouchable, but because you're unshakable. They thought they were aging you with all that pressure, making you weary, making you weak, making you want to quit. But God was using every single flame to forge something they never expected. A vessel that couldn't be broken, a spirit that couldn't be bought, a heart that couldn't be hardened, and a voice that couldn't be silenced. You walk different now, don't you? There's something in your step that wasn't there before the fire. Something settled, something sure, something that says, I've been through hell and came back carrying heaven. Your enemies look at you now and they're confused. They threw everything they had at you. They expected you to crumble, to fade, to disappear into the background of your own life. Instead, you emerged glowing, not with the artificial glow of someone trying to impress, but with the authentic radiance of someone who's been tested and proven. That glow isn't makeup, chosen one. It's not a filter, it's not good lighting. That's fire-forged faith shining through your skin. That's the evidence of divine metallurgy. God taking the raw material of your life and creating something precious, something powerful, something that can't be replicated or imitated. The fire taught you things the comfortable never learn. It taught you how to worship in the middle of warfare, how to praise when everything around you is falling apart, how to stand when your knees want to buckle, how to love when your heart wants to close, how to trust when your mind wants to doubt. Most people avoid fire. They run from heat. They retreat at the first sign of pressure. But not you. You learn to dance in the flames. You learn to find God in the furnace. You learn that sometimes the only way out is through, and sometimes the only way up is down first. And that's exactly why you're not aging like everyone else. That's why your spirit burns brighter while others grow dim. That's why your strength increases while others weaken. That's why your vision gets clearer while others get cloudy. Fire doesn't age the chosen. It forges them. Every wrinkle they expected to see replaced by wisdom lines. Every gray hair they thought would weaken you became a crown of glory. Every scar they hoped would shame you became a testimony of triumph. Every tear they thought would drain you became fuel for your fire. You're not the same person who walked into that furnace years ago. That version of you was good, was faithful, was sincere. But this version has been tested. This version has been proven. This version carries the kind of authority that only comes from surviving what should have destroyed you. They thought they burned you out. But God used the flames to forge your future. Now, when you speak about faith, people believe you because they can see you've lived it. When you talk about God's faithfulness, they lean in because they know you've experienced it. When you declare His promises, things happen because you've learned to speak from the fire, not just about it. You've become what they never expected, a living, breathing testimony that fire doesn't diminish the faithful. It distills them. It doesn't weaken the willing. It sharpens them. It doesn't age the anointed. It activates them. And the beautiful irony? The very people who threw you into the fire are now watching you emerge from it, wondering how you got so strong, so sure, so surprisingly young. Not young in years, but young in spirit, young in hope, young in the kind of holy energy that can only come from someone who's been refined by divine flames. You didn't just survive the furnace, chosen one. You became the fire they can't put out. They thought the glow would make you soft. They miscalculated. Chosen one, listen carefully. What's happening to your skin, your eyes, your very presence? This isn't a beauty treatment from heaven. This is a battle preparation. You're not being polished for show. You're being sharpened for war. The oil flowing through your life right now isn't cosmetic. It's combat ready. You've been wondering why people stare differently now. Why conversations pause when you enter rooms. Why even your enemies seem unsettled by your presence. It's not because you look younger, though you do. It's because you carry something they can't name, can't fight, can't understand. You've become a walking disruption to the kingdom of darkness. Your glow is not for glamour. It's a weapon. The enemy made a critical error. He thought if he could age you, weary you, break you down physically, he could contain your assignment. He believed that tired bones couldn't carry fire, that weary flesh couldn't house divine purpose, that exhausted spirits couldn't shift atmospheres. But God had other plans. While hell was attacking your frame, heaven was fortifying your foundation. Every wrinkle that appeared too early from worry, God recorded it. Every gray hair that sprouted from stress, He counted it. Every night you fell asleep exhausted from battles no one else could see, He witnessed it all. And now, in this hour, He's reversing what warfare stole. Not for vanity's sake, but for victory's purpose. You weren't healed to rest. You were healed to lead the charge. This restoration flowing through your life carries assignment. It comes with instruction. It arrives with expectation. Heaven didn't invest this oil in you so you could sit comfortably in your final years. Heaven poured it out so you could pour out in your finest years. The strength returning to your limbs isn't for leisure. It's for labor. Holy labor, kingdom labor. The kind of work that makes demons flee and angels applaud. You've been watching others retire into irrelevance. You've seen people your age fade into the background, accepting decline as destiny. But that script was never written for you. Your reversal is militant. Your renewal is strategic. Your restoration is revolutionary. Look in the mirror, chosen one. What you see isn't just improvement, it's implementation. God is implementing His final strategy through your frame. Your face now carries the authority of someone who has seen hell's worst and heaven's best. Your eyes hold the clarity of one who has walked through fire and emerged with divine intelligence. Your very posture speaks of someone who knows they're backed by more than flesh and blood. This oil coursing through your system, it's the same oil that anointed kings for battle. It's the same substance that prepared warriors for conquest. It's the oil of commissioning, not comfort. Of deployment, not retirement. You're not being pampered. You're being prepared. The world expected you to slow down, to lower your voice, to step aside and let others take the lead. But heaven had different instructions. Heaven said accelerate. Heaven said amplify. Heaven said advance. Because there are territories that can only be taken by someone who has endured what you've endured. There are strongholds that will only fall to someone who carries what you carry. Your renewed energy isn't for personal enjoyment, though you'll enjoy it. It's for spiritual employment. Your restored vitality isn't for self-indulgence, though you'll be blessed by it. It's for sacred service. Every day you wake up feeling lighter, stronger, clearer. Remember this: you're being equipped for something specific, something strategic, something that requires this exact level of divine backing. You will walk into rooms where hope has died, and resurrection power will follow your footsteps. You will speak to hearts that have given up, and your very presence will call life back to dead dreams. You will stand in spaces where darkness has ruled, and the light radiating from your renewed spirit will expose every lie, break every chain, silence every accuser. This isn't about looking good for family photos. This is about looking dangerous to demonic strategies. This isn't about feeling better for your own comfort. This is about feeling powerful for kingdom conquest. Your reversal is God's rebellion against everything that tried to shut you down before your time. The oil on your life now carries prophetic purpose. When you pray, those prayers will pierce the heavens with new authority. When you speak, those words will land with unprecedented weight. When you move, atmospheres will bow. Not because you're trying to be impressive, but because heaven has made you impressive. You are no longer aging into irrelevance. You are aging into influence. You are not declining into darkness. You are ascending into authority. The years ahead of you won't be measured by what you're losing, but by what you're gaining: new mantles, fresh assignments, deeper levels of divine partnership. This oil isn't temporary. It's not going to fade when the excitement wears off. It's covenant oil, sealed by the Spirit, designed to flow until your mission is complete. And your mission, chosen one, is far from complete. In fact, it's just reaching full activation. So wear this renewal like armor. Carry this restoration like a weapon. Move in this oil like a commissioned officer in heaven's army. Because that's exactly what you are. You're not a retired soldier enjoying veterans' benefits. You're an active duty general being deployed for the final campaign. The battle isn't over. It's shifting. And you've been given everything you need to win it. Your glow isn't for glamour. It's a weapon. Your strength isn't for show. It's for service. Your oil isn't for vanity. It's for victory. And victory, chosen one, is guaranteed. They thought your biology would betray you. They were wrong. Chosen one, what's happening inside your body right now isn't just healing. It's not simply restoration. What you're experiencing is a complete rewrite of your cellular programming. Heaven has hacked into your DNA and begun a supernatural update that no laboratory can detect, no doctor can explain, and no enemy can reverse. You feel it, don't you? That strange tingling in your veins, that unexplained surge when you should be depleted, that energy that seems to come from nowhere, flowing through arteries that should be tired, pulsing through a heart that should be worn. This isn't wishful thinking. This is divine intervention at the molecular level. Your blood is no longer ordinary. It carries the frequency of eternity. Every red cell, every white cell, every platelet is being infused with resurrection power. The very hemoglobin that carries oxygen through your system now carries something else, the breath of the Almighty. When you inhale, you're not just taking in air, you're breathing in glory. And that glory is transforming you from the inside out. They told you your bones would weaken with age. They said your joints would stiffen, your spine would curve, your frame would surrender to gravity's relentless pull. But heaven said otherwise. Right now, as you sit here, divine calcium is flooding your skeletal system. Not the kind that comes from supplements or milk, the kind that comes from the throne room. Your bones are remembering their original blueprint, the one written before time began, before decay entered the equation. Your marrow is being renewed. The very factory that produces your blood is getting a heaven-sent upgrade. Stem cells that should be aging are regenerating with supernatural vigor. Your immune system isn't just strengthening, it's being militarized with angelic reinforcement. White blood cells that once moved sluggishly now patrol your bloodstream like warriors on divine assignment. This is not adrenaline. This is anointing with pulse and pressure. Your nervous system is rewiring itself. Synapses that once fired slowly are now sparking with prophetic electricity. Your brain isn't just clearing, it's being recalibrated to heaven's frequency. Memory that seemed lost is returning sharper than before. Focus that felt scattered is now laser precise. The fog that clouded your thinking wasn't age, it was warfare. And now heaven is burning it away with holy fire. Even your skin is responding. Cells that should be deteriorating are regenerating. Collagen that should be breaking down is rebuilding with supernatural strength. The lines on your face aren't just smoothing, they're being rewritten to tell a different story. Not the story of decline, but the testimony of divine reversal. Your frame is no longer human standard, it's heaven issued. Listen carefully. Your heart isn't just beating, it's drumming with the rhythm of resurrection. Each thump sends waves of divine energy through your entire system. Your circulation isn't just improving, it's being supercharged with glory. Blood that once moved slowly through weary vessels now rushes with the urgency of purpose. Your heart rate isn't just stabilizing, it's synchronizing with the heartbeat of heaven. Your liver is purifying not just toxins, but spiritual contamination. Your kidneys are filtering not just waste, but generational curses. Your lungs aren't just processing oxygen, they're expanding to contain more of God's breath. Every organ is getting a supernatural software update, programmed by the hand that formed you in the womb. The medical establishment will be baffled. Tests that once showed decline will now reveal improvement they can't explain. Numbers that once climbed in the wrong direction will reverse course without medical intervention. Your doctors will scratch their heads, flip through your charts, and wonder what changed. But you'll know, heaven intervened. Your metabolism is being reset to its original design. Energy that once depleted by noon now sustains you through the night. Sleep that once brought exhaustion now brings restoration that defies explanation. You wake refreshed in ways that make no natural sense, because supernatural forces are at work while you rest. This isn't gradual improvement. This is instantaneous reformation. Your very genetic code is being edited by divine fingers. Chromosomes that carried the information of aging are being rewritten with the data of eternal youth. Telomeres that should be shortening are lengthening. DNA that should be fragmenting is being perfectly preserved. Scientists will tell you this is impossible. Doctors will insist it's unprecedented. But heaven doesn't operate within the boundaries of human understanding. When God decides to reverse time in your temple, every cell must obey. When heaven speaks to your biology, even your bone marrow listens. The inflammation that once raged through your system is being extinguished by divine anti-inflammatory agents. Pain that seemed permanent is dissolving under heaven's healing touch. Stiffness that felt set in stone is melting away like ice in holy fire. Your body isn't just healing, it's being recreated in real time. You are no longer aging according to Earth's timeline. You've been transferred to heaven's schedule. Your biological clock has been reset by the hand that controls all time. What should take months is happening in moments. What should require years is occurring in hours. This is resurrection biology. This is glory genetics. This is heaven's answer to hell's attempt to age you out of your assignment. Your frame is no longer surrendering to time, time is surrendering to your frame. Feel it happening right now, in your blood, in your bones, in the very core of your cellular being. Heaven is rewriting your story one cell at a time. And when the update is complete, you won't just feel younger, you'll be the living proof that when God reverses time, even science must bow. Your DNA doesn't lie. And now, it tells the truth. Heaven always intended you are fearfully and wonderfully made, preserved for such a time as this, and renewed by the very breath of the Almighty. They thought the whispers would wound you forever. Chosen one, do you remember? Do you remember the sideways glances when you walked a little slower? The hushed conversations that stopped when you entered the room? The way they measured your worth by the lines on your face, the gray in your hair, the careful way you rose from chairs? They pitied you. They counted you out. They spoke about you in past tense while you were still breathing, still believing, still burning with holy fire they couldn't see. But heaven was taking notes. Every smirk, every dismissive wave, every time they assumed your season was over, God was compiling evidence for the courtroom of divine justice. And now, chosen one, now the verdict is being delivered in the language they understand best. Undeniable proof. You didn't fight their whispers with words. You transcended the battlefield entirely. While they were busy writing your obituary, heaven was rewriting your biology. While they were measuring your decline, God was multiplying your design. They expected you to fade into the background of their memories. Instead, you're walking into the foreground of their shock. Look at you now. Look at you. The same hands that trembled with fatigue now steady with supernatural strength. The same eyes that once clouded with weariness now blaze with clarity that cuts through their confusion. The same voice they thought was growing weak now carries authority that silences their doubt. You're not aging backward. You're ascending forward, and glory doesn't wrinkle. This is what divine vindication looks like in human form. Not revenge, that's too small for what God does. This is reversal. This is heaven's way of saying, you thought you knew how this story would end, but I write the final chapter. They're watching you now with different eyes. The same ones who whispered about your limitations are now whispering about your transformation. The ones who spoke of your decline are now speechless at your incline. They're searching for explanations that don't exist in their vocabulary because what they're witnessing isn't medical, it's miraculous. Your walk has become prophecy. Every step you take declares that time doesn't get the final say. Your laughter has become warfare against every lie they believed about aging. Your very presence in rooms where they expected absence has become evidence that God specializes in plot twists. You didn't demand their attention. You commanded it by simply being. There's a glow about you now that makeup can't manufacture and filters can't replicate. It's the radiance of one who has been touched by eternity and marked for more than mere survival. They see it in your posture, no longer bowed by burden, but straightened by purpose. They hear it in your voice, no longer apologetic for existing, but authoritative in declaring truth. This isn't about proving them wrong. This is about proving God right. Every prayer you whispered in the dark when they thought you were done. Every tear you shed when they assumed you were finished. Every moment you chose faith over their predictions, heaven was listening. And now heaven is responding with a demonstration that shakes their understanding of what's possible. Let them watch you shine with the years they said were gone. Let them witness the energy they claimed was depleted now flowing through your frame like lightning. Let them observe the mind they thought was dimming now blazing with insights that illuminate their own darkness. Let them feel the presence they assumed would shrink, now expanding to fill every space you enter. You are walking evidence that their timeline was wrong. They measured you by earthly calendars. God measures you by eternal purpose. They counted years as subtraction. Heaven counts them as multiplication. They saw aging as ending. God saw it as ascending to a frequency they never learned to tune into. Your reversal is more than physical, it's prophetic. You're not just getting younger in appearance, you're growing stronger in assignment. You're not just reclaiming vitality, you're revealing the victory that was always yours. Every restored laugh line that disappears speaks of joy returning. Every renewed spring in your step declares that destiny doesn't retire. The public nature of this reversal is intentional. God could have restored you quietly, privately, invisibly, but your breakthrough was always meant to be their wake-up call. Your resurrection was designed to disrupt their assumptions about limitation. Your revival serves as proof that what they call impossible is simply waiting for divine authorization. They thought they knew the rules of aging. You're rewriting them in real time. Watch how they study you now, searching for the formula they'll never find in laboratories or libraries. Listen to how their conversations shift from pity to bewilderment to something approaching reverence. Feel how the atmosphere changes when you enter spaces they thought you'd vacated forever. This is your moment of public vindication. Not because you need their approval, you've moved beyond that hunger, but because your restoration serves a purpose greater than personal healing. You are becoming a living testament that God's promises don't expire with age. You are proof that what heaven starts, time cannot stop. Your enemies are watching. Your critics are calculating. Your doubters are drowning in the evidence of your emergence. And you're simply walking in what was always yours. The strength they thought was gone was just gathering. The fire they assumed was extinguished was just being refined. The glory they believed had faded was just waiting for the perfect moment to burst forth. The reversal is public now. The transformation is undeniable. The vindication is complete. Let them stare. Let them wonder. Let them whisper new conversations about the impossible becoming inevitable in your life. Because you, chosen one, are not just recovering from what tried to diminish you. You are radiating with what was always meant to illuminate through you. And this is only the beginning of what happens when heaven decides to make a public statement through a private warrior who never stopped believing in the God of reversals. The same ones who buried you in their assumptions are now watching you rise from the grave of their expectations. And no one, absolutely no one, saw it coming. Conclusion. Chosen one, as we reach the end of this divine encounter, let me remind you of the truth that has been spoken over your life today. You are not aging according to the world's timeline, you are being renewed according to heaven's plan. The weariness that tried to claim you was never God's design for your latter years. The decline that others accepted as inevitable has no authority over someone marked by eternity. Your body is responding to a higher frequency now, one that declares restoration over deterioration, revival over retirement. Remember this: what heaven starts in secret, it will manifest in public. The reversal happening in your cells, your spirit, your very countenance. This is not temporary encouragement. This is permanent transformation. You are living proof that God's promises don't expire with age. And you are not walking this path alone. Every step of renewed strength you take, heaven is cheering. Every moment of clarity that returns, angels are celebrating. Every breath that comes easier, every movement that flows freer, these are not accidents. They are answers to prayers spoken not just by you, but by a community of believers who understand what it means to wait on the Lord for strength. There are others watching this message right now who feel exactly what you felt. They've questioned whether their time is past. They've wondered if God still sees them. They've battled the same fears about aging, about purpose, about whether their best days are truly behind them. You are not isolated in this journey. You are part of a remnant that refuses to surrender to the enemy's timeline. Before I pray with you, I want you to consider this question. If God is truly reversing the effects of time in your life, if He is restoring what the years have taken and multiplying what remains, how will you steward this divine gift? How will your renewed strength serve not just your comfort but His kingdom? Now, let me pray over you, as if I were standing right there beside you, my hand on your shoulder, speaking directly into your spirit. Father God, I lift up every person who has stayed with us through this message. I pray over the one whose hands are tired but still folded in prayer. Touch those hands with supernatural strength. I pray over the one whose back aches from carrying burdens too heavy for human shoulders. Straighten that spine with divine support. I pray over the one whose eyes have grown dim from tears of disappointment. Restore their vision with hope that burns brighter than their pain. Lord, breathe new life into every cell, every bone, every muscle that has grown weary. Let your resurrection power flow backward through their timeline, erasing the damage of stress, of sorrow, of seasons that tried to age them beyond their years. Where the enemy whispered decline, let your spirit declare divine. Where the world pronounced finished, let heaven proclaim just beginning. Give them strength for the journey ahead, not just physical strength, but spiritual fortitude. Surround them with people who will celebrate their comeback, not question it. Open doors that will require their renewed vitality to walk through. And let every restored step they take be a testimony that you are the God who makes all things new. In the name of Jesus, who conquered death and offers life abundant, I pray. Amen. This community we've built here is more than viewers. We are prayer warriors standing with you. If this message has touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share your testimony in the comments below. Tell us what you felt during this message. Ask for prayer if you need it. This space is sacred ground where miracles are celebrated and burdens are shared. And please, share this message with someone who needs to hear it. There's a family member, a friend, someone in your church who is struggling with the very same fears you once carried. Your sharing could be the divine appointment they've been praying for. You could be the bridge between their discouragement and their breakthrough. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. These aren't just videos, they are prophetic encounters designed to strengthen your faith and confirm your calling. Every message is prayed over. Every word is intentional. Every truth is designed to build up the body of Christ. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey today. Thank you for opening your heart, for believing for the impossible, for refusing to accept limitations that God never placed on your life. Your faithfulness to watch, to listen, to receive it matters more than you know. Remember, chosen one, your story is not ending, it is ascending. Your strength is not fading, it is being renewed. Your purpose is not expiring, it is being expanded. Walk in the confidence of one who knows their times are in God's hands. Rest in the peace of one whose life is hidden with Christ. Rise in the power of one whose youth is being renewed like the eagles. The reversal has begun, and no one, absolutely no one, saw it coming. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and give you peace. And may you walk in divine health, supernatural strength, and holy purpose all the days of your life. In Jesus' Name, Amen.